Alright, so it's no secret they really set out to make an action game this time around. Well, with the combat director of DMC5 on board, and some help from both Platinum Games and the KH team, Final Fantasy XVI is looking to have a dream team to create this new installment. I know it's a little mixed right now on how people feel about this new direction and all, but hey, watch this be the turning point like RE4 was for classic Resident Evil. What side of history do you want to be a part of, right? But yeah, this is Combat Overview. Here we go over the general controls, the main mechanics, or what we use them on, and then seeing how it all comes together. As you can tell by my videos, I don't really look at anything else but gameplay, so I won't be discussing story or spoilers. Because of that, I'll try to not show too much the best I can, since as of making this video, the game is fairly new still, so I'll try to keep it fresh for your first time experience. But again, things might slip by accident, so be warned. Square is our basic attack, doing up to 4 hits. No delays or directional attacks like holding back or forward with the thumbstick for more options, just the single combo. Holding square will give your sword a powerful flame buff. Then releasing it tosses out this powered Kaiser pretty much that'll send an enemy flying. Breaks their guard to open them up, or if used in the air will start an aerial combo. At first it might look like Nero's instant exceed rev sword mechanic because of the flames and all that. But it doesn't require timing to prep it, which would have been awesome, but instead it ends up being really situational, since you need to stop attacking entirely to sit there holding square to then toss it out a second or two later. It's good to set up when anticipating an enemy's attack to follow up afterwards, but again, it ends up being a pace killer when I try to use it mid-combat. Triangle shoot fireballs. Standing still, strafing, or in the air. There's no MP either, limiting its use, so just fire away. No pun intended. Swapping between icons will actually change magic, but just cosmetically. It'll do the same exact damage across the board no matter which one it is. There's no type advantage or any debuffs, like damage over time, stunning, and so on. Imagine if electricity made robot type enemies go haywire to swing wildly, hitting both you and nearby enemies, or wind to knock flying enemies off their balance easier, fire to melt jelly-like enemies, or to set up classic bomb enemies to self-destruct sooner, having this ticking time bomb to maneuver around the field. To pull them in with a leash, or toss them into other enemies with that stinger to send them into a crowd for some hot potato shenanigans. But nah, pretty simple here. You can use this magic to keep a launched enemy juggled a bit longer, but I wish it was more fleshed out than that. Something neat you can do is chain into magic after a melee attack lands. Doing this after the final hit will send them flying too. So yeah, this does some extra damage to both health and their will to stagger them, which we'll get into in a bit. But yeah, you can hold triangle to charge up a powerful shot, which you can do as other attacks are being tossed out, which isn't too bad. So cool little ranged option for little chip damage, but definitely has a bit more room to expand on to reach something like Neo and Stranger of Paradise. Pressing X and square at the same time will do a stinger basically. Gets you in with this lunging attack. Can even do a burst magic attack follow-up to send them flying too with this. Doesn't instantly chain back into our base attacks, some noticeable delay there, but it can be cancelled with your icon's unique ability, setting up some nice follow-ups. Now doing this in air gives us a helm splitter, ending your air combo, and yeah, can end with the same magic burst to send them away. Now we can't do some wild DMC3 jump cancels to rinse and repeat, because we're limited to a max of 2 jump cancels when close to an enemy. Do your little air combo, jump cancel to reset, swing a bit more, jump cancel, and then helm splitter with that magic burst ender. And yeah, combining everything can lead into some fun combos. And you probably noticed we have a battle puppy striker named Torgal. You can call your buddy on command with the D-pad. He has this quick swipe, a launcher, which also OTGs, and a little heal. These have no cooldown, so just call out the good boy and he does his thing. Now if we time our commands after sending an enemy flying only, it'll do a perfect sick. So after 4 basic hits or that stinger or any skills, you can call for that swipe for him to do the spiral extender, instead allowing you to combo off of, or the launcher will instead spike him down. Super cool we have him. And yeah, definitely new seeing a pet companion to combo with. And I also forgot to mention earlier, but after that 4th hit or the stinger, the enemy will be floored. And going up to him will do a fatal blow. On Circle, we have our current icon's main ability that's locked to him. Ifrit, or Ifrit, gets Zoe 2's Zero Shift, teleporting towards an enemy to close a gap, which leads into a melee or magic attack. Can teleport upwards to an airborne enemy, and can do it from the air to the ground as well. There's no iframes on it though, so you'll get hit out of it if you're not careful. Now there's something else from Zoe 2. We have our leash grab to pull in far off enemies. Super useful to continue your combos and just keeps the pace going. It's a classic for a reason. Note, it pulls in smaller enemies only. Not larger ones, but it has a use for them which we'll look at in a bit. Now, us Kingdom Hearts fans should recognize this one instantly. With this one, we're going to a little lock on to shoot multiple projectiles at an enemy. Here, it'll shoot lightning bolts that are attached to him, and once you hit him with anything, they'll explode, having them be launched. And yeah, take it from there. We also have this shield to put up. Can slowly walk around and block some hits, just not too many or any really heavy hitting ones because that'll just shatter your defenses easily. Now, if you time it, you'll do this parry and toss out these powerful counter attacks. So yeah, this is literally Royal Guard. And once skilled enough, you can stop even the largest enemies around. We have a few more, but sadly I didn't use them too much, but hey, one of them lets you toss out Virgil looking attacks. Changes your main sword, dishing out lightning fast attacks that all build up this meter to unleash a flurry cut finisher. This one I'm definitely going to check out next. Onto defenses, we have Unukemi. Just tap R1 to break your fall to keep the base going. We can dodge with R1, solid iframes on it, but there's no penalty for spamming it. But yeah, not only can it be done grounded, but in the air too. And it takes priority cancelling most attacks, and yeah, you know what that means. We have a perfect dodge, slowing time a little bit to attack back. From here, you can toss out a melee or a magic attack. Melee does this lunge forward towards that enemy, while magic keeps you away. So depending on the situation, it might be best to go in or stay back a little if it's a bit risky. And yeah, you can also do back-to-back perfect dodge follow-up attacks pretty nicely. And yeah, you can perfect dodge mid-air too. Doesn't have those follow-ups in the air, but it's still useful. We also have clash parries here, again just like Zoe 2. It works by having our attack make contact with the enemy's attack. It's a tight window since our sword startup is a bit slow, so this is something to get used to. But it has the same issues as Death by Degrees. It'll happen mid-combo at random moments. So I really should have gotten hit sometimes for mashing and not reacting on time, but instead I was rewarded for it. If it had that clash parry property on the first hit only, then I think these unintentional clashes wouldn't happen mid-combo anymore, since you gotta actually preemptively set it up. But hey, the fact that the Virgil looking icon has a unique clash parry of its own is pretty hype. Okay, with the heavy DMC influence, I had to test it out, but no. There's no jump cancels or iframes on them either. Just had to be sure. Looking at the HUD, green is our health. Golden meter underneath is limit break, that's our DT. Pop it with L3 and R3 to deal more damage and swing a lot quicker as you gradually heal. It does have iframes on activation too, so it's a good reversal option. If you feel it, just stay in the action. Taking hits, landing hits, and using all those defensive options will add to it. To the left is our current icon. We only have 3 at a time, and think of it as DMC style switching, because like we saw earlier, they have unique uses between them. Some defensively to get in or to combo with. Now each of these have cooldown skills to toss out. Some crowd control, break shields, reflect magic. This one I was able to stop Doom being casted on me. There's one to launch yourself and others up with you. And even this flame wheel that's very similar looking to Ninja Gaiden. To use these, just gotta hold R2 and press square or triangle to use them, and they're going to cool down before they come back. It gets kind of wild having to switch styles and then remember what's readied up again and then make combos based off that. It's pretty cool. For example, do some hits, launch a Torgal, then use the skill's upward hitbox to juggle him like it's a prop shredder. Call Torgal again, and yeah. You can combo into him with these and to other cooldowns as well. They're super strong and fun to use however you like. There's one to even cancel any end lag on pretty much anything. So so it bypasses certain barriers we had before to create your very own custom combos. This alone will open up so many possibilities. Just started messing with it, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool to see what people come up with. And yeah, you don't have to keep the abilities the icons came with. You can mix and match skills from different ones to create your own little setup. They need to be maxed out first, but yeah, super cool the amount of customization here. And oh yeah, while holding R2 and pressing the touchpad will taunt. Makes him kind of upset. But hey, makes him fall for an easy counter. Speaking of that, when it comes to enemies, we have our castle guards who aren't too bad one-on-one, but they show up in packs. Powers and numbers kind of thing. But yeah, they're the regular sortie, some mages to give buffs, and some who block occasionally, having used skills to break the guard. Ninjas who toss out Nimpo pretty much, thunder from above to try to corner you, and this fire attack in a single direction. And same thing I mentioned in Stranger Paradise, but if animations are too hard to recognize, looking out for attack names is a nice touch to know what's coming up. There's this ice robo guardian who'll lunge forward at you, or sideswipe at you if you're beside him, or even turn 180 to protect their back. Yeah, these are extremely fun because you have attacks for all angles and whatever distance you are from them. Armored tanks with a halberd who will charge head on, swing at their sides, and lift their arms. They're about to do 2 swings back to back, which, yeah, you can easily perfect dodge both of them. There's a few of these larger guys with far-reaching weapons that attack pretty similar to each other, but there's a large list of more enemies that I didn't get to talk about, and they're all fun to take on. Remember that ninja? Yeah, that was a boss before they became a regular enemy, and this will toss out an Azuna drop. We even take on a behemoth and dragoon knights. These human-sized bosses can't be juggled or comboed like we have been this entire time, but they have really good patterns, having maneuvering around projectiles, hopping over shockwaves, perfect dodging their attacks constantly. So we have those well thought out, back and forth phases, but then we get the cinematic QTE ones for some visual flair. And some of these are kinda insane. Rising your vengeance levels of iconic, that could. Some of them even remind me of Asura's Wrath at times. Now enemies and bosses both have this yellow bar underneath their health called Will. After landing any attack from basic swings, magic burst, perfect dodge follow-ups, and those cooldown skills, they all chip at that meter. And once it reaches halfway, it'll do a partial stagger, allowing you to get a little nice combo on them. Now with that leash grab of ours, we can follow up that partial stagger, creating a full-on knockdown, extending this opening even further. And yep, even this works on major bosses, really letting you toss out the best skills you have to destroy this meter of theirs. And once broken, then they'll be fully staggered, lowering their defenses to deal extra damage, all the while they're trying to recover. And that's Final Fantasy XVI. It's pretty good. We have quite a few things from Zoe 2, on-the-fly icon swapping that are basically styles from DMC. They're customizable too on what skills you want and where, plus the cooldowns kind of reminds me of Scarlet Nexus, slow-mo perfect dodges, dog assist combos, extremely hype bosses, a solid training room, ways to get right into the action to take past bosses again, even replay whole stages, and NG Plus raising level cap to take on a serious challenge. But even with all the helping hands, Team Ninja Stranger Paradise is still the best action-heavy Final Fantasy game to me. Of course it is, I'm extremely biased, but it actually reminds me of another Square action RPG made by Soleil that came out not too long ago, Valkyrie Elysium. We have the perfect dodges, clash parries, leash, teammates helping out, skills on cooldowns, low juggles, pretty solid training room, and yeah, all that. They both have a lot of the same mechanics, but 16 just pulls it off a lot better. But yeah, kind of wild to see a few Square Enix games be more action focused. I know that gameplay has been a little divisive, but I get both sides. Final Fantasy started off as turn-based and it should stick to its roots. And from the developer side, I remember reading this article mentioning how these next-gen graphics would be pretty off-putting if all they did was just stand around, just waiting for their turns. But hey, 15 was already making these gameplay changes, but didn't seem to be a problem then for some reason. I guess I had a list of other issues people had with, but yeah, there's still a 7 remakes sticking to the ATB setup, so there's that, plus the spiritual successors, and the Pixel collection that just got released, and the entirety of Dragon Quest franchise for more Square turn-based RPGs. There's options, that's all I'm trying to say. To play them all. But yeah, we got some cool customization going on with skills and icons to mix and match, creating your own little synergy combos. It would be cool to have more available at once like Scarlet Nexus, because there's a good bit of fun with all the skills that they have. Yeah, the bosses are really good here. There's multiple phases with unique patterns to learn, and they have some extremely hype set pieces for them too. Definitely won't forget these anytime soon. And honestly, there's not much downtime. A new area pops up on the map. All you gotta do is fast travel, walk a little linear path with enemies sprinkled around, reach a new town, do a little talking, and just move on to see new enemies, sub and main bosses to take down. So it'll be cutscene, combat, back to back. Didn't have to grind either for any reason, just did main stories too, and that was it. Again, it just keeps this game moving forward. Speaking of that, for pure action fans, luckily you can skip cutscenes to get right into the gameplay. And for story enthusiasts, there's some side notes with most cutscenes giving more exposition and lore on the world and its characters. So best of both, which is pretty good. I have my little things about it. Since we have so many awesome summons and skills, I wish they allowed to have more than 3 equipped at once. Would have been neat to have a second page or swappable set mid-combat. So if we had more slots, we can experiment a bit more without having to give up a major spot in our move list. And it's kind of weird magic doesn't play a larger part. Like I said earlier, it doesn't really affect enemies any differently. There's no real differences, it's just all cosmetic. The screen clutter definitely gets wild at times. It's full of magic, flashes, particle effects, swooshing everywhere on everyone. But when you can't see, it's not too bad. All in all, it's a damn good time. It reminds me of a few other action games, and it puts them all together pretty well. And you're just constantly hot swapping between stances, pressing buttons, and making cool stuff happen. Can't get better than that. Extremely fun first attempt that I hope they build on, because I can see this getting kind of wild next time around. But yeah, check it out if you can.